Relativism, the simplest kind of relativism, is the view that truth is relative to individuals, or at least to communities or cultures. So what's true for one person may be false for another, what's true for one community may be false for another. There is no truth with a capital T, if you like. There are many truths. So, people will sometimes say, well, that may be true for you, but it's not true for me. And in its simplest form, relativism is the view that the truth is whatever we believe it to be. So, if one individual believes that this is true, then for that individual, it is true. So they don't just believe it, it's true. For this other individual, they believe that it's not true. So for them, it's not true. And there's no fact of the matter as to which of these two beliefs is correct. But not many relativists are relativists about all truth. I mean, they're not relativists when it comes to, historical truths and mathematical truths. Usually they restrict the range of relativism to just say moral truths. They are moral relativists. So they think that there's no fact of the matter, no truth with a capital T, when it comes to, the wrongness of female circumcision, say. If people in North Africa think that that's morally desirable, then it's true for them that it is morally desirable. For other Westerners, it's morally objectionable. If that's what they believe, well, then that's true. And there's no truth with a capital T, so far as the rightness or wrongness of female circumcision is concerned. That's moral relativism. There are various problems with moral relativism. One obvious objection you can raise is that it makes us infallible, morally speaking. I mean, surely, conceptually it's possible for us to make mistakes, morally speaking. I mean, as individuals, we can get things wrong, right? Or at least as communities and cultures, we can get things wrong. So, we used to think that slavery was morally acceptable, and now we don't. We realise that previously we were mistaken about that. Well, if relativism is true, you never, we don't get things wrong, because the truth is whatever we believe it to be. So when we believe that slavery was morally acceptable, that was true, it was. That was a fact, if you like. In fact, if you think through the consequences of moral relativism, you can see, to pick the most cliched example, you're going to end up having to say something like, well, if moral truth is relative to communities and the Nazis are a community, well then, if mass murdering Jews is considered morally acceptable by Nazis, well then, for them it's true that it is, and who are we to judge? You'll end up having to endorse that position, which frankly no one is prepared to endorse, I take it. Along with relativism, you sometimes find a form of non-judgmentalism, the view that it's wrong to judge those from other cultures who have other moral points of view. And then added to that is the thought that so it's then wrong to point the finger at this other culture and say, no, that's wrong, you shouldn't be doing that. There's an obvious problem with that kind of non-judgmentalism. Insofar as the relativist is now pointing the finger at you and telling you that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, they're making a moral judgment about you. They're doing the very thing that they are telling you that you shouldn't be doing. So there's an inconsistency in their position then. Humanists tend to emphasise the importance of reasoning when it comes to morality. You should think carefully about what you believe, morally speaking. You should subject your views to close critical scrutiny. You should, and in this way we can make moral progress. Well, you can't really hold that view if you're a moral relativist, because the view that you end up with after engaging in all of that critical thinking won't be any more true than the one you started with. They're both going to be equally true. As long as you believe it, it's true. So, if you think as a humanist, and you probably do think this as a humanist, that actually we can get closer to the truth by thinking critically about morality, then again, you can't really sign up to moral relativism.